This is your tech news briefing for Tuesday, November 1st. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. Self-driving trucking company TuSimple has been grappling with a number of challenges in recent months. Its stock price is down 90% for the year, and according to exclusive WSJ reporting, the FBI, Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S. are looking into whether the company improperly financed and transferred technology to a Chinese startup. On Monday, a day after the Wall Street Journal reported on the investigations into the company, the board of TuSimple announced it had fired its chief executive and co-founder Xiaodi Hao. So what happens next for TuSimple, which had been seen as the leader in the self-driving trucking sector? Joining us to discuss this is our venture capital and startups reporter, Heather Somerville. Hi, Heather. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Hey, Zoe.
Heather, it feels like there's a lot of moving parts to this story, so I just want to take a second to break some of those down. There are two companies that are at the heart of this, TuSimple and a Chinese startup called Hydron. What are the connections between the two?
The connections are in the founders of these two companies. So TuSimple was founded in 2015 by Mo Chen and Xiaodi Hao. They have run the company, for the most part, these last several years. In 2021, this other company emerged called Hydron, which says it is developing hydrogen-powered, self-driving trucks and has most of its operations in China. And the founder and head of it is Mo Chen, who, as I mentioned, is also the co-founder of TuSimple. In addition to, Hydron has said that TuSimple is its first and, so far as we can tell, only customer, and that TuSimple has pledged to buy hundreds of trucks from Hydron that it will equip with self-driving technology. And one more thread I'll throw in there is they share an investor, a really important investor. His name is Charles Chow. He's the chief executive and chairman of a big Chinese conglomerate called Sina Corp. And he was a critical backer of TuSimple and then of Hydron. And really the relationship just builds from there.
Okay, so according to people familiar with the matter, there are government probes into TuSimple, and this relationship with Hydro has a lot to do with it. Can you just break down what those are?
Yeah, Zoe, there's a lot going on here. And so there are investigations by government authorities from the FBI, the SEC, and the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, which is often called CFIUS. In addition, the board of directors at TuSimple opened an investigation in July into what TuSimple was doing regarding Hydron. And so we've had these 4 concurrent investigations, all of which are ongoing.
Okay, so what are they looking at?
Primarily, government authorities are looking at whether TuSimple improperly financed Hydron and transferred technology to Hydron. And they are looking at it from the perspective of, did TuSimple fail to make the securities filings and the disclosures that are required of them whenever they have a so-called related party transaction? So it's really being looked at it as a potential financial crime. And the FBI in particular is concerned about shareholders in TuSimple being defrauded if Xiaodi Hao and others at TuSimple willingly gave technology to a Chinese competitor, because obviously that technology and the proprietary nature of that technology is what makes or made TuSimple so valuable to them.
What has the company said about these investigations?
Well, the company told us that they were not aware of any FBI or SEC investigations. The company said it's been in discussions with CFIUS. It's also notable that CFIUS had another investigation into TuSimple last year, and it has been in communication with TuSimple since then. And so TuSimple said it has discussions with CFIUS, but it declined to comment on the substance of those discussions. And it declined to comment on the board investigation.
Now, we know the board investigation led them to fire the CEO, which they announced on Monday. He was also their chief technology officer, the president, and the chairman of the board. What did the company say about why it took that step?
They said that they fired him because what they had found so far in their ongoing investigation was that TuSimple had shared confidential information with Hydron. And the board didn't know about this incident. And it had shared confidential information with Hydron prior to entering into a business deal with Hydron. In addition, the securities filing said that the board discovered that several TuSimple employees had worked for Hydron and gotten paid for their work while also being on the payroll at TuSimple. And I will say that Xiaodi posted on LinkedIn a lengthy statement in which he says that he denies any suggestion of wrongdoing, he has nothing to hide, and he stands by all of his actions and decisions regarding TuSimple.
Isn't there a bigger picture about competition between the US and China here?
Yeah, that's really the key backdrop to this, Zoe. The United States and China have both named the technology that underpins self-driving vehicles, which is artificial intelligence, as critical technology to national security, for military purposes, as well as for economic competitiveness. In September, President Biden issued an executive order which was aimed at improving the scrutiny of foreign investment in U.S. companies building critical technology. It also specifies that the technology for hydrogen-powered vehicles, which is what Hydron claims it's making, is key to the United States national security. So you have this issue where both China and the U.S. have openly declared repeatedly that this technology is essential to them. Both are working like crazy to develop it. And now we have a situation where the company that had been considered the leader in self-driving trucking has a very questionable future. We don't really know what's going to happen next to this company that has already been through a lot of turmoil and now faces what is probably the biggest challenge of its existence.
All right, I guess we'll just have to wait and see a little bit. That's our reporter, Heather Somerville. Thanks for joining us, Heather.
Thanks, Zoe.
And that's it for today's Tech News Briefing. If you want more tech stories, check out our website, WSJ.com. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. Thanks for listening.